Welcome back, Masters and Princesses, to another episode of Made News Network. I am your host, S.J. Nix, and today I am here with a pretty prolific reactor, an author, podcast star, and one-time professional roadie. Today we are joined by Joel Miller from the Party Like a Rock Star podcast. Good morning, Joel.
I like the prolific part. It's like, they're not good, but he sure comes out with a lot of them.
No, if they weren't good, we wouldn't be here this morning, dude.
Oh, I know. You have this high bar you've established. I've seen some of your episodes. I thank you for letting me hang out with some of you. Yeah, no, yeah.
All right on. So before we get too further into this, I'd mentioned that you're an author. So you wrote a book called Memoir of a Roadie. Yeah. When was that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so it was actually going to be called Axel Said I Made a Great Cup of Tea. And I called, I'm pretty friendly with Dizzy from Guns N' Roses. He was one of my recent guests, actually. So Dizzy and I have been friends since I worked for them. So a really long time. So I call him, I'm like, so I got a name for the book. It was me and the graphics dude. Well, Axel Said I Made a Great Cup of Tea. He's like, that's the best name you could come up with? I'm like, that's a great title. It's not. He goes, why would you call it that? And I'm like, well, I had two conversations with Axel when I worked for Guns. And the first one was like, hey, man, can you make me some tea? Because the tea dude didn't make it down to Brazil when we flew down to Brazil with Guns N' Roses. He missed his plane. His whole job was to make tea, and the guy missed his plane, so he didn't get to go to Rio for free. So whatever. Or get paid, actually, to be there. So anyway, he was like, can you make me some tea? I'm like, yeah. So I made him some tea. And then he's like, that was an awesome cup of tea. So Dizzy's like, that would be one conversation. I'm like, no. This happened over hours, which would make it two conversations. And so Dizzy's like, it's just a terrible name for a book. And so I was going to do it out of spite, but then Memoir of a Roadie jumped into the mix, which is probably more fitting. So, and then as far as what you really cared about, the background was, I had been working on it for a little while here and there, just a little bit of fun, passion project, whatever you want to call it. And I'm friends with a guy named Michael Grace. Michael wrote the movie Poltergeist. He wrote Cool World. He wrote Marked for Death. He's what I call a real writer. Okay, he's good. So his teacher at NYU was Scorsese, his film teacher. Isn't that cool? So anyway, he was like, you should write a book about being a roadie. And I just didn't want to. There's a difference from writing and making up stuff than just writing about yourself. It's a different craft. And so then I got cancer. I had melanoma.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, right. Skin cancer. So I was like, man, if I die, I'm not going to have, I'm cool, man. I had cool stories. So I started taking it more seriously. And as I was writing it, I tried to make it funny. So I'm laughing away at what a prick I am. And I really was enjoying the ride. And then I was like, when do you finish your book? I don't know how to do this. So I'm like 500 pages, and Michael's like, no, you're done. You're done. Stop. That's enough roadie stories. You're done. And so we finished it up. I threw it on Amazon. I had people, the problem with like book publishers, so this could get boring, so I'm going really quick, is the book publishers, they have to have people sign off. And I got a whole story in there about Keanu Reeves eating Taco Bell with me. Who the hell is going to read? What management guy is going to read it and be like, oh, yeah, Keanu Reeves Taco Bell story. Let me put this on the top of my to-do list to make sure we approve it. So I released it myself, get it up on Amazon. Immediately, people are like reading it. So I'm like, oh, my God, I didn't know it would happen that quickly. So I ended up getting a retired high school English teacher, my girlfriend's cousin, to edit it with me. And we're editing it as fast as we can because people are already reading it. Mm. And that was the quickie.
All right. So I'm watching your videos. You talk about all the different bands. Your intro talks about the different bands that you've worked with. Yeah. What's your favorite band that you went out for, and what did you do on that tour? Big question.
That I was actually getting paid by.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you do festival dates, and on the festival dates, there's
Mm,
lots of bands, and so some of the bands that come through are pretty cool experiences. But as far as band that paid me, I usually say is Stone Temple Pilots, and so the reason is, do you remember Columbia House where you get like 10 CDs, 12 CDs for a penny, right? So I had got STP's first album. I knew the album, but it wasn't like an album I listened to regularly. And I was very proud of my CD collection. It was a big deal to me. And so I was excited because STP was performing with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It was the Californication tour. And I was super excited to hear the Chili Peppers perform because I'd been listening to that album like crazy. What I liked about STP was, A, it was my first tour, and so it was all this amazing stuff coming my way. I was learning so much. It was very exciting. But B, they won me over. I thought I was working for the better band in a pretty short period of time. And it became this really cool experience that I got to like not just hang out with these guys, they were actually paying me to be there. And I totally sucked. I didn't know what I was doing. And they kept me around anyway. So it was very good for me. It also taught me, the different walks of life and how you take care of yourself and how it's a tough job. It's a hard job. And a lot of the older roadies are hardened, we'll say. You got to man up a little bit.
yeah. One of the stories I remember you telling early in the book is like you got stuck on lighting and you're just like mashing buttons and making shit happen, not really knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, so the whole idea is to progress, to move on to the next level, hopefully,
Mm-hmm.
because as we all get older, we start falling apart. So you want to become a stage manager, then maybe a production manager. You
Right.
could jump to a tour manager, whatever have you. But the whole point is to learn things. And so I was working doing a bit of lighting. I hate lighting, by the way, because the lights break all day. It sucked, man. You gotta keep fixing them. But anyway, so an LD, it's a lighting designer, is one of the higher positions. And so a lot of times the underling, and I don't know how it is now, I assume it's the same, but I haven't toured since 2006 to be upfront with you. So they put me as an LD for the opening bands. And so the one you're talking about is the band Warrant, She's My Cherry Pie. So, and I did not do a good job. It was a good way to put it. So I'm pushing all the buttons like crazy, just trying to make it interesting because I don't know what I'm doing. So the stage is like green, blue, yellow, and then they go on to, I think it was Cherry Pie at the end, and the stage just goes dark because I pushed some buttons. So I'm looking at this big board, and I'm like, well, and I was laughing, kind of like, I don't know what you want me to do. And one of the guys standing there was one of my bosses at a big lighting company. He had started as an LD way back in the day. I knew what he was doing. He just stood there. He didn't help me. So the stage is just dark. It's the guys like, it's their encore. It's their biggest song. There's nothing going on. You can see the people in the audience kind of like, and then at the end, I figured it out. I pushed the button that was labeled mom, which the guy told me never to push because I was just touching like this. So I push it and then the stage just goes like red, I think. And it was the last drum beat. It was perfect. I thought it was great. And then the band is like, so they went to meet with Poison. I was working for Poison. And they're like, look, we know we can't use your LD, but we got to get a guy better than that. I wish I was in that room because the boss would have been like, "I was pretty bad, yeah."
Mm-hmm. I got you. All right, let's fast forward to this whole YouTube gig. How does this happen? I don't think you started as a reactor. I think you were doing some stuff on the side. And were you walking down the street one day and fell into the YouTube hole? How did this work?
So that's the problem. You don't know, and that was the whole issue. Is nobody was watching my interviews. Nobody knew. Nobody. So that's why it's funny how you said that. So yeah, what had happened was the book, like, dude, the book was doing great. So all of us are surprised. I didn't even know I was literate, and so the book's going nuts. And roadies say the typical thing that a lot of people in your life will say: "I want to write a book one day." Everybody, I want to write a book one day. And I urge everybody to do so. You should. Why the heck not? You can do it yourself. You can put it on Amazon. It ain't that difficult, all by yourself for $0. Why not? So anyway, the roadies, I should write a book one day. Well, none of them are going to do it. Well, a select few, let's say. So I wanted to interview these guys. I respect these guys. I love some of them, the ones I know well. They helped me make who I am, and I think I'm an okay guy, and I'm proud of that. It's because of these dudes, them toughening me up, remember? So I wanted to do interviews with them. Now, I always brought on 2 guests. That was because if one was boring, I had a second guy who could make up for it. The other thing is, if I bring on 2 guests that know each other pretty well, they prompt each other's stories, and I just got to sit there and do nothing. Right. So I did a year of interviews, and boy, some of the stories, better than my book. They were amazing. Some of these guys, brought on John. John was he's the only living pyro guy from Kiss from the 1970s. Cool stuff. To Bob Dates, who toured with Van Halen through 14 years, I think, and his stories about Eddie were just amazing. It's great stuff. So I was enjoying it. I couldn't get people to watch. And I'd have, my best video would be 300 people. I think I got 1,000 once. And so, but the roadies liked it. And so all the roadies were like, dude, how come you haven't invited me on your thing yet, Rifkin? So I'd be like, oh man, come on down. It's not like a big deal. You can come. So I invited so many of them, but I found I'm working my butt off. The editing is time consuming. Right. And I don't like hearing all of the background noises and issues. So I do more editing than I think people care about, truthfully, but I want to make it sound as good as I can. And so they took me days, those ones. Anyway, I was going to hire a marketing dude. And my friend has a big reality show company, and they had hired this guy. And so I talked to him, and he mentioned the word reaction video. I didn't know what that meant, but he shouldn't have said that, but he did. So then I was talking to a roadie dude who does now marketing for NASCAR. And he goes, well, what's the guy going to do for you? I'm like, I don't know. He works for my buddy. He does a good job. And he's going to charge me $500 a month. So the guy's like, what's he going to do for you? Let me write to him. So I wrote to him, hey, man, how's it going? What are you going to do? He kind of took offense, I think. He wrote back, whatever. I'm giving you a great deal, and you don't want to do it. Fine. Beers, I just save you $500 a month. But I looked up what a reaction video was. And there's this guy on YouTube. I should know his name. I would throw it out because he was so good at what he did. And he explained how to do reaction videos. Well, to me, it was like Beavis and Butthead, which were great. So I did one for Queen. I sucked. I just talked over the whole video because I think Beavis and Butthead used to talk over the video. Right. So people were like, hey, bozo, you shouldn't talk over them performing. It was like, okay. Then the second one, I think was Måneskin. I'm not sure, but I think it was Måneskin. They're like, hey, dude, guitar solo. That's when you shut up. Like, oh yeah, it's true. You don't interrupt the guitar solo. So then I started getting into it. And then I found Baby Metal, actually, which I think is the door opener for a lot of Bandmate fans and a lot of the genre, but it was my door opener. It's just, this song was real. I was looking up what tracks are released today. And so I was just picking stuff. So one was Neil Young. We're only talking like 4 months ago too. I haven't been doing this very long. And so one of them was Baby Metal's new track. And I just sat there in disbelief of like, I just don't know what I just watched. That's crazy. Right. These Japanese are crazy. They're crazy. But I liked it. And that's okay. And so the people watched it. I'm like, oh my God, I actually have viewers. And so who's this band, Baby Metal? So I started listening to more of their music. I didn't think it was a sideshow gig, which a lot of people say. It's just, these cute young girls with these really great performers. They are cute young girls, and they are great performers. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. But there's a huge amount of talent. And I don't get how people can't see that. So as I started exploring J-Metal more, there's a massive amount of talent here. And how come more people aren't aware of it? So this was a cool niche. It's like being that young guy getting your first Rush album, or for me, Appetite for Destruction, and holding that CD on the CD age, or tape cassette age, really. I get to listen to this as much as I want. like whenever I want. And it's the same feeling with all of these bands that I'm listening to. Most of them are Japanese right now. I'm doing some Nightwish, which I think is great as well. But I'm excited. I'm this little boy again, getting to listen to all this wonderful music. And it's a luxury is the truth of it. We don't have to pay for it. You can get on YouTube and watch it. You can communicate people now who like the same band you do. That's cool. When we were kids, you and I don't know, did we have that? You might have your buddy down the block who also liked Kiss, but it's not like you could get on a platform and talk to a bunch of people knowing they like what you like.
Yeah,
and then
we would go to the record store and talk to the dude behind the counter. Hey man, what's really cool? Or maybe one of your buddy heard of a band that you'd never heard of. And then this is back in the days when, like, I bought Iron Maiden's Peace of Mind, never heard a riff from them ever, but the album art was cool as hell. And like, I got to check these guys out. Became one of my favorite bands. That's how we did it. Now there's social media, there's YouTube, and you build these little international communities, but it's a tight knit group. Yeah. And I just had a conversation about different Facebook groups because each Facebook group is its own little ecosystem with its own idiosyncrasies and the way it's ran and the way people react and interact.
Discord. The Discord groups.
Yeah. Discord and then Reddit, and each community has its opinion of the other community.
But then like 4 months ago, I'd never heard of any of this stuff. Right. I didn't know what Discord was. So it's exciting. It's all very fresh. It's very new. And the record store, you're an LA guy, I think, originally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Moby Disc was our record store. There was like 6 locations is why I bring it up, but they're in LA. So the guy there, man, that was my thing. I tried to talk to him, right? Because I'm in high school and he had the coolest job there could ever be in humankind. Like, would you be a rocket scientist or the dude at Moby Disc? And I'd be like, dude at Moby Disc. And so I would try to talk to him and they were just dicks. And I'd fill out the application on a regular basis and they'd be like, great, thanks. And you knew for sure they just throw it away. So I come back in, I'm like, yeah, I'm working for Stone Temple Pilots. And he's like, I don't care. And I could never win over those dudes at the record store, man. They were tough.
Yeah, we had Tower and Licorice Pizza and
Warehouse.
Warehouse was another
good one. The Warehouse was good because in the beginnings they didn't have a computer system, so the used CDs were labeled with a price that whoever behind the counter decided they were worthy of, which means you could get a great Johnny Cash CD for like $1 because they never heard of him. It was great. Oh, punk music. They didn't know any punk. So you get really, really good stuff. It was fun. And this whole idea here from the record store to the podcasting to the communities and everything, it's almost to me, I don't know if I think you'll understand, but I'm interested to see if you would relate. It's like a video game. And how video games work now is my little town hates your town. And my little town is going to like click on the button every single day to build bigger tanks and buildings because I'm going to blow your shit up, Scott. Mm-hmm. However, we talk about it and I'm going to ask about how your kids are and how your promotion went. And you start to build community. And I think that's how these video games are really successful these days. This is like a video game. Discord is new. All of these things are new. There's all different substances coming and everybody's playing the same game. They like the same bands. You don't really have an excessive amount of bandmate haters. Why spend the time? Move on to something else. And they do. I like it more when somebody doesn't like one of the new tracks that likes the band and exploring that. That to me is fun. Some of these people get really annoyed if you don't like everything, but I think it's more interesting to have a bit of variation as long as you're willing to discuss why, why. Clue me in, it's not politics. We can still be friends,
Right.
Clue me in.
Yeah, there's anybody who knows me knows that I have a really strong opinion about which is my least favorite song. And every once in a while that comes up and it usually starts a little, most people are cool about it, but there's like, how can you not like that song? That song is da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, and my go-to answer is always for that one. And the song, if you haven't seen it yet, it's called Start Over.
Okay.
That's their bottom of the catalog song. And the thing that kills it for me, and right or wrong, I can't separate the two things. It's the video. There's
Oh,
there's cut scenes in the video that it's like it looks like Avril Lavigne and Chad Kroeger are having a fight and they're breaking up while the bandmate song is playing in the background. I'm like, not feeling it, and it
so
pisses people off.
for me, it was Black Hole Sun. Remember they had the
It's a
Barbie doll
creepy
on
ass
the
video.
barbecue?
Mm.
Well, it made it hard for me to like the song. Great song, but the video, it bothers me. And so it's true. It's a visual image that messes up with the way the sound. I stand in some of these podcasts here. I critique the editing, and I imagine the viewer sitting there like, we don't give a crap about the editing of the video, man. But it does matter because that's what you're visually seeing. And if they're doing these excessive cuts while she's singing this beautiful thing, Saki's doing this wonderful thing, and the guy cuts away, you're like, what the hell, dude?
That is, you are not wrong when you say that is an issue in the fandom with that stuff. I mean, some of the editing, we're like, what are you guys doing? These crazy 3/4 of a second at most jump cuts back and forth, and we're like, you guys who are editing, the songs, stop it.
To me, it's like validating why they should pay you, because if you don't do anything, which, like, did you watch that Baby Metal first take video?
I don't think I have yet.
Beautiful. It's really amazing. But locked camera, one take. And that's nice. It's a great thought. They got to get the bandmate ladies up there. It'd be amazing. But it's simple. The thing is when they're truly talented musicians, let them do their thing. Don't mess with it. And then a lot of it now is cell phones in the air. And so it's funny. I'll be reacting to somebody's video and it's a cell phone, and the cell phone's all over the place. The sound quality's not that great. She's doing a beautiful solo. All of a sudden we cut to the bass. The bass player is just waiting for their part.
Okay.
And it's just a mess.
Yeah, that's been a thing, especially some of the professionally cut stuff. We're like, what? Why are we doing this?
That's the weird stuff. You guys paid how much money for the shoot, and this is the editor that you guys chose? Yeah. It's really odd. But if the editor does a fantastic job, then all of a sudden the video has more is better. It's cool. Speaking of your band here, I like the acoustic stuff. The acoustic performances, there wasn't a lot of editing.
Right.
And you just got to see them sit and play in that really cool looking room, and it was like, oh yeah.
So and I don't know if you noticed it. This is another thing that's kind of mind-boggling with that. They spent a ton of time and a ton of money to produce a gorgeous concert. It's called the Christmas Okyuji.
Okay.
And they showed it live. We got to see it. You could watch it for 5 days or a month, depending on which one you paid for. And then after that, that was it. Cool, right? Well, all they've released from that is the audio. There is no DVD or Blu-ray you can purchase of that, which makes
how long ago did they do it?
Christmas, what is this? Christmas 2021.
Oh, yeah, they need to jump on that. You wonder why stuff gets filed. On STP, when there was Stone Temple Pilots, I think everybody, yeah, on STP, when there was issues with sound, something was going on stage. Something was going on. Scott Weiland would sing the Doors a lot, which he did that Doors cover that a lot of people have seen. They would do, Dean would play a Led Zeppelin. It was amazing. But sometimes Scott would sing the Carpenters. And oh boy, was it good, man.
Really?
And they would always record off of the desk. And I've never heard any of those recordings. But I've always wondered, how come management guys don't take some of these cool little things? And now, like, a lot of people record off the desk every single night and they send it into management. Why don't they release more of this stuff? I don't understand it. Because us as podcasters, if you stop releasing footage, you become irrelevant quickly, really. There's a lot of people doing this. How come the bands don't take what they have and start doing that? Why isn't that Christmas thing come out the next Christmas?
Right.
This was last year, something. I don't get that. Especially after having spent the money to put on the show. Right.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's one of those things that's like, okay, but if you put it out there, we would buy it. I promise you, because it was just it was a beautiful show.
They will at some point, I'm sure. But yeah, you wonder why And it's the same here with these podcasts too. What's your guys' issue with the reaction videos? Why do you have these copyright stuff? It's called free advertising. We don't get any money. I don't get any money on any of these videos and I'm okay with that. I think it's fair. It's copywritten material. It's not mine, it's theirs. If I want to promote it, go for it. I'm gaining, I don't know, let's say I'm gaining subscribers. I'm just enjoying it, whatever it is. Why do they care? But why would anybody watch a reaction video and then not watch the original version? Nobody.
Well, another thing in the reaction community, we don't do reactions in the traditional sense. We may watch it and then discuss the song afterward, but by all means, claim it. It's your stuff, but don't strike it. I don't understand these ones that strike it down because it is exposure.
It's exposure. And then I just had one and they cut. I know I saw other reactors do. They cut it because I didn't give it a good thumbs up. Dude, that's not good.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, whether you like it or not, throw it out there to the masses, man. Let people have their own decisions. So I didn't get that. I thought that was crazy because I had a couple thousand views in one day on it. It's up for a few days, whatever, and then I wake up and they've removed it. I had a copyright strike. And I'm like, what is this? That 3 of those, they kill your channel. So I'm like, whoa, nobody warned me. So I reached out to the lawyers at the festival. I don't want to say who because they apologized actually, which is cool. I'm like, I worked your festival and I have a headliner for your festival on my podcast right now for this year. And I have the headliner for last year who just came on. I'm not your enemy. It's called free advertising. So they were very nice about it. They removed the strike. And you know what? It made me feel really good. I was really happy about that. It made me feel like, oh, maybe I'm not totally wasting my time. So,
all right. So we talked a little bit a Bandmade, but we're a Bandmade centric channel. I went through your channel and like I said early on, man, you're prolific. You've got like 30 different Bandmade reactions at this point. A little bit some that you've done with other musicians, which is absolutely amazing. That's one of the things that I think is your niche. It's really cool that you get these professional musicians from our era to come in and talk about these modern bands. Like the one that really got me is Dave Sabo. I was a huge Skid Row fan in high school. That was my soundtrack for my senior year in high school, the first album. Yeah. So to see him talk about these bands and like really be like excited and impressed.
Yeah. And genuine. It was genuine.
Totally.
He liked
absolutely.
So the cool thing about Snake is he's a gifted storyteller. He's amazing. He's the guy you want at the campfire. He's really great at it. And I know that. I've known him for a long time too. And so I've been bugging the heck out of him to come on because I knew he was going to have fun with it. And then I know how much he likes wrestling. So when I brought on Lady Beard, I don't know if you saw that one. It's not the most popular one, but it's the most fun. His reaction is just amazing because he knows me. He's going to like, what are you going to do? And
I'll watch that one later. I'll watch it later.
It's worth it. It's really funny, man. So Snake was really cool. And I've got some other ones coming up that, it's hard to pin these guys down. Musicians are a difficult breed. And so it's hard. And then my issue is, do I ask you guys, hey, what should I play for Snake Sabo? Or do I just pick songs? Because now that more people are listening to me, which is cool, right? It's difficult to please everyone. And I'm getting yelled at here and there when it's like, I don't know, man. One of the dudes who likes your band a heck of a lot said to play that song for the guy. So, and then variety's cool. You don't want to hear the same exact song every single time for the reactor, right? So switch it up a little, whatever, But one thing that was interesting, it wasn't actually for Bandmade, but people are very angry with me. Maybe angry is a little aggressive, but they weren't very pleased with me for selecting a particular track for a band. And what I didn't get was, do you just like 2 of their songs, or you like the whole band, a whole thing? Because if you like the whole thing, you had said that song that you're not in love with. If it was Snake doing a reaction to it, you would sit through the song, right? You like Bandmade.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, it's not. when I'm watching something like your content, especially when it's other musicians, it doesn't matter what the song is. I may have in my mind and go, oh, you know what, based on this guy's style or their band style, this would have been a better one. Like a perfect example I thought was it was a really good choice for the obvious reason. You played Youth Gone Wild from Nemophila for Snake. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And he's like, wow, she really nailed that solo. That was awesome.
Which
That's
was
really
so cool, right?
Yeah.
Because he's going to play the game. He's not going to be like, oh, it sucked. He wouldn't. But he didn't need to. He liked it for real. And that was really neat. The other thing was he's a pretty good, he's knowledgeable with lots. So I didn't know if he would be aware of their version. So I was hoping that he didn't know it, and he didn't. So that made it really cool. That was fun for me. I enjoyed that a lot too. And then it's like being the little boy where you're introducing a band to your buddy who happens to be a really, really good guitar player. I'm trying to do different stuff, because if I had Snake reacting to his own video, I just don't know if that would be interesting. You know, it's more interesting for him to check out these people. It's all in my head, a lot of it. So we'll just keep using Snake as an example. But can you imagine having been the person he co-wrote that song, but to be a writer for the song, all these years later, a band on the other side of the world is performing it well, and it's still relevant? God, come on. That has to make you feel so good. And so that's all the stuff going on in my head when I'm doing these. I'm watching it like, you want to see something cool?
It's and a recurring theme, even with the roadies that you had on too, that you're showing this stuff too, is maybe not to the extent of a Gene Simmons that rock and roll is dead, but a lot of these guys are like, I didn't know this was going on. And it's like this second awakening to music. We all have our first one where some band we heard somewhere or someone showed us, and then it was like the clouds parted and the sun shined down, and then now our life path was set with rock, metal, whatever it happens.
Yeah, but we have our blurbs throughout. You know, Blind Melon for me came way later, where I'm like, oh, who are these guys? How come I'd never heard of them? How come nobody told me about them? And so it's the same. But yeah, and that's why when I first started doing this a few months ago, how could this guy have never heard of Baby Metal? They're huge. How could he's a roadie. How come he's never heard of Bandmate? And you're sort of like, I don't know. I didn't, though. You know, I'm sorry. And so now that I'm bringing on a lot of these other music guys, I'm like, see, told you. When we don't all know.
No, that idea that, and one of the things that Peter, the other host of this channel, and we say we live in this titanium bubble where we think everybody either knows of them or should know of them, because we're so in the weeds of this stuff. We know the record company and the year and who wrote this. We all this deep information, and because we do, we assume that other people will as well. It's not the case, and that even goes to the exposure to these bands and what you may or may not heard. If you're not looking for it, you're probably not going to find it.
Yeah, and the dig is fun. It's exciting when you find something new that you just didn't know existed, and you think it's great. And then, is it human nature? I don't know. Maybe if you're an introvert, maybe it's not. But wouldn't you want to share the wealth? Like, hey, check this out. This guy's really good.
Yeah, the algorithm is a blessing and a curse. It shows you new stuff, but sometimes you just keep chasing that rabbit, and before you know it, you're so deep, and you're like, how did I get here? Right. So 30 Bandmate reactions, one or two that stand out. You're like, wow, or maybe it's in your playlist now. I don't know how much music you listen to away from this stuff. What are your standouts?
I listen to a lot of classical music. Like Beethoven-y stuff. I don't know. I find it very relaxing. I like it. And then I'm not very bright. So the thing with all the Mozart and whatnot is, who sings this? I don't know. Sounds good. So I like Band Mako. I liked those. I wish they would do more of those tracks. Oh gosh, what's the band that they take the traditional instruments and then they do some newer, the Wagaki Band. Yeah. So it had the Wagaki Band vibe, which I think the Wagaki Band is fantastic. But I really enjoyed band Mako. I thought that was a fun spin, and the videos were so well produced too. It seemed like they were taking a step forward in trying to become more well known, in that they put some money into that. So that was interesting to me. What other stuff stands out? I don't know. Am I allowed to decide? I like it all coming through the pipeline. I didn't have one that stood out, like you said, that I really dislike. I have said I don't like English very much in the songs, and that's not specific to Bandmade. It's to a lot of these acts. And people assume, and they say it's because of the accent. But, and it is a little, but a lot of it is what is the word? Dissemination, is that? Where English is like attacking the culture. I love the idea of singing Japanese, man. It's beautiful. It's like another instrument coming my way. I love it.
Right.
I don't need to hear English. And then I would assume that when you're singing in a different language, there's more thought process going into making sure you're saying the word or words or the phrase correctly. And so I don't want the thought process. I want the emotional feel of it. Sing whatever makes you comfortable so I can get a world-class performance. Because with Bandmate and some of these other acts I'm watching, I want them to become bigger. They're great. They're world-class already. Let's make them international phenoms, make them something awesome. And to do that, like your podcast and mine, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. You got to be really perfect. Mm-hmm. And so that's why they do a bit of English. And I've been informed, some of these guys who watch my channel often, they tell me, it's common in Japan, man, where people will throw out words in English all the time. But English is an ugly ass language. So
that's one of the things about Japanese and this stuff. And you hit the nail on the head. Psyche is, for a lot of us, a fifth instrument. I
think so.
Yeah, it's her melodies and counter melody. Yeah.
But also it's the stage presence. People forget about that. Oh, she can sing well. No. She can sing well and perform well. You have to perform well. If you're just standing there singing, it's really hard. It's boring. The person's not moving. Why are you standing like this? Yeah. So she's a great performer.
Yeah, I've been a fan since 2015. I saw them live for the first time 2017 when they played up in San Francisco at J-Pop Summit. It's like a cultural festival.
Okay.
And I've watched her mature, and she is a very different person from when she was back then. And I will promise you this, when you go see him live, it's not an if you go see him, it's going to be a when.
Yeah, right.
You look at pictures of her.
I should jump in. Scott was trying to get me to go to a show. Yeah, I was like, I have this to do. I have that to do. But I actually was working. I was recording Dizzy that night. But yeah, I was writing back, no. And you're like, yes. Like, no.
But you see Psyche and you see like, wow, she's got a lot of stage presence. When you're in front of her, the word that comes up is regal. She is imposing and incredibly charismatic at the same time. Yeah. It's something special to see. So we got to get you to have that experience.
So Scott Weiland was that to me. I couldn't believe how good this guy was. Like how you just could command. It was amazing. And it was beautiful. It was so cool. And I had all these huge bands queuing the sides of the stage for the opportunity to see STP perform. And that was exciting as a kid. And I imagine now with Bandmade, did Guns N' Roses stand on the side of the stage and watch them perform? Did it happen? So Dizzy said he wasn't able to watch them a lot. And people were like, but the truth is sometimes it's not a functional opportunity. You can't. You got to be prepared. You're getting ready to go on too. Or you might not even be at the venue. And so there was a few negative comments, but I think it's just a lack of understanding of how these shows work. With a lot of the festivals, they get us in and they get us out. And we got stuff to do. As soon as my band's done performing, for example, I've got a lot of work to do. I don't have time to watch the band after me. I can hear them way the heck over there, but I got to get all the gear in the truck. We got to go. So that's some of the functional aspects. But I'll bet you, and then that would be interesting to talk to her. Where do you get it from? Is it just performing regularly and just getting used to it? Or does it come naturally? Or is it watching the Scott Weilands and going, wow, look how comfortable he is. That's a biggie too. Being comfortable on that stage. If you're on a stage and you're playing for a big audience, I want to say Bandmate played for 50,000 people is the biggest.
Not Bandmade. No, their biggest show to date was Tokyo Garden, which was like 85-ish.
Okay,
Oh,
so
well, if you're talking about the gun show or Aftershock, um,
I thought it was like 50. I was, but it's okay. It's okay. I mean,
yeah,
85,000 is more. So,
no, 8,500.
oh, shoot. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that is a big difference. That's a much more, believe it or not, intimate setting. It's still a lot of people, but when you're paying for hundreds of thousands of people, it's psycho. It's crazy. So even as a roadie standing on the stage watching all this is just, it's madness. And it's exciting, but it's a different feel within you. And how well do you perform? I bet you'd kick butt in it.
We'll find out in November. The tour final for them is Yokohama, and I think Yokohama's like 16 or 18,000. That's going to be the biggest show they've played to date. So,
Bandmate formed in like 2013. Am I correct? Am I nuts?
Yeah, you are correct.
Okay, so I'm right. So 2013. So they've been performing live, and I believe it's still the same lineup forever.
Yep.
Yeah. So they've had a lot of time to play with one another and get used to being with each other, writing together, performing together. And so you would assume that they would naturally become a stronger presence. So, and it's actually commendable they're still together. I know that sounds really bad, but so many bands break up, lose a drummer or whatever. So
they genuinely like each other too. They're friends. So I think that goes a long way with it as well. And
do they do meet and greets?
So they used to. So 2017, the first time I saw them, they did. If you had VIP, you got to take a photo with the band.
Okay.
So in post, I'll put my picture with them up there. I got that stupid look on my face because I'm all like,
anybody would be, come on.
Right. And then 2018, they did the, if you had VIP, they did the conga line where you come up and you had they gave you a little postcard and they all signed it and you got to try to say something in Japanese to them real quick. And then you got ushered through. Did that again in 2019. And then the last time around, it was part of the VIP. It was a pre-sign. So here's your little VIP bag. Here's a pre-signed photo. The only time they've done anything, the first show ever they played in the US was 2016. It was at SakuraCon in Seattle. And that was when you could come up and you could bring anything you wanted. Like, there's somebody brings guitar and it's like, hey, I got your first CD. Will you sign your first CD? But that was the only time in the US where it was kind of a free for all for that type of stuff. And now that I've gotten popular, I don't know if we'll get actual meet and greets again. Hopefully,
I hope
but
so.
I don't know.
I know the baby metal people, the community, I've seen that they had complained in the past about there not being anything since the early days. And
Baby metal is very insulated because who their management company is. They're under a Muse, and a Muse is very regimented in how they do things because they're essentially an idol. They're an idol label, so they treat things more the idol way as opposed to the rock and roll way.
And yeah, I had the reactors will put like the logo over the images and everything, and I told these guys in the beginning I didn't really ever want to do that. I want for Bandmate to support me. I want them to be like, yeah, right on, Joel, do our new video, man. I don't want to go around and play games. If they don't want me reacting to their newest video, I won't. But I work in music. I like these guys in general, and that's their decision. Again, it's their copywritten material. It ain't mine.
Right.
And so I'm okay with that, but I don't like doing those videos. I don't want to do that kind of stuff. So I don't think I've ever had a Bandmate video blocked, though. I haven't. So, but I have it. Like I had a Love Bites video blocked, which blew me away.
I haven't heard of that before. But to answer your question about does Bandmate like reactors? So I went this last tour. I was at the LA show and at the Dallas show. And at the Dallas show, they flat out said, "Hey, are there any YouTubers here?" And well, I don't know if you've heard of Mr. Rock and Roll.
It was to pummel them.
No, not
it's
at
like
all.
Everybody get them.
Do you know who Mr. Rock and Roll is? He's a reactor.
I don't. Is it good?
He's a super over the top dude. He's like, he hears something, he throws his headphones out, he walks out of the room and comes back in, and he's like doing all kinds of crazy stuff. He's a big Bandmate person, and when someone pointed him out in the crowd when they asked, because he's about 5 or 6 rows back. And everybody brought him to the front, and the girls were kind of like starstruck that he was there. So,
Oh, that's nice.
so they watch reactors. They know who you guys are. They have their favorites. There's a, well, what I'll do is I'll in an email, I'll find the video of that, and you'll see it, and you'll see how they were reacting. They're having a really good time. Akane was like, I watch it. So,
Yeah, that's cool. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's got to be cool if you have people watching your videos and enjoying it. You must be like, thanks, because that they are trying to make a living is the functional aspect, but the second side is, I mean, they could pick other careers. So it's nice to have people enjoy what you're doing. I mean, so that's cool. That's cool. I'll have to check this guy out. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know a lot of them. When I first started, I checked some of the big boys. So I watched one episode of Joe Rogan, and I don't think I made it through the whole thing. They're so long.
Yeah.
And then I picked a couple others. But as far as reactors, I didn't really watch anybody. But I didn't because I didn't want to like copycat anybody. I kind of wanted to figure it out. And where my path has gone is really just I have some subscribers who are happy to tell me the stuff to listen to. And it's sort of fun. It's like this puzzle. So I just follow them of like, oh, okay, let's check this one out. Let's check that one out. And I like that aspect a lot. So I presume, I know I'm right. That's where Bandmade came from, is somebody had given me a list of a couple other bands to react to. One of them was Bandmade. And then I watched them. And again, it's like, oh, wow, what's this?
And then you get 5,000 views when your other videos you're getting 300, 400.
You're getting like 28 people, you know. So, and I didn't mind those. If the roadies enjoyed it, it's worth it. If I enjoyed it, it's worth it. But I started getting publicists asking me to do these bands that I thought would get more traction. I didn't really enjoy talking to them. They didn't care. They didn't tell anybody. They didn't promote it. And I'm like, why did I just spend 2 days of my time again on this band that I could care less about? I don't know any of their music, nothing. So the reaction videos were more fun, A, because of people watching, but B, I got something out of it. I get personal enjoyment. I like watching these bands perform. I like it. It was fun. Interviews can be so interesting if you get the right people. The very last interview I did, I'm being picky now. It has to be something that I think special. But it was two of the roadies who were in the bus when Burton died for Metallica.
Oh, my God.
And there's nobody in that bus. There was only a few people, of which 2 of them are dead. So, and they went through and explained what happened that day. They'd never done that. They've never talked about it with that outside of their immediate families even. So that's an interview that of course I want to do. And thank you guys for telling me that you want me to talk to you about it. But it was awkward. You know, I'm not a massive Metallica fan. So why me? And then 2, what if I do a crappy job asking you questions or editing it? I mean, this is like important stuff. But they both found it really healthy for them. They really enjoyed it. And that meant the world to me. So out of that, I don't know how many people have watched the video. I don't care. It was good for my buddies, and I enjoyed it. And that's okay. That makes it worth it.
Yeah.
The reaction videos.
I want to watch that one.
If you're a big Metallica fan, dude, it's heavy though. Okay. Oh, all right. Oh yeah, you're there. Okay. Wow. Then yeah, watch it. We talk a lot about Jason as well and how they treated him when he came in, why he left the band. But there's like tears, man. This is heavy stuff. And I think if you're a Metallica fan, it's a beautiful moment, is listening to these guys, not me, but listening to these 2 dudes. And then I did a couple reaction videos with them before I let them go because I wanted to bring it down a notch. Or bring it up. Yeah, sorry, bring it up a notch because I didn't want them to leave with a lot of heavy stuff on their shoulders. You know, one of them had spent quite a bit of time in counseling over it, he says in the interviews, which you would imagine, right? A pretty horrific stuff. So anyway, at the end of the day, I like music.
All right, we're going to wrap this up.
All right.
One more question, and then we'll close this out. So Bandmade's stated goal from the beginning has always been Sekai Fuku, which is world domination. You coming from the music industry, what do you think is their next step toward world domination?
They've got to sign up with a big band like Guns and do an international tour as an opener.
Man, that's what I've been saying forever. And the fandom, no, they don't. They just need to keep doing what they're doing. Look,
No.
dude, they need to go out on, even if it's just a 7, 8, 10 city tour with like, see, for me, and the one I've been pushing from day one with it, Foo Fighters. Dave would love these girls. The music is really, really similar. The energy is really, really similar. I think they'd get a ton out of a Foo Fighters tour or
Yeah.
Chili's.
And the other thing is the Foo Fighters tour a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm well aware we had our issues recently. Taylor was actually supposed to be a guest on my podcast. I was going to bring him on with a street busker. I know it's sad he passed away because he was a really good dude. He was a really nice guy for real. I know that the people that like Meatloaf, when Meatloaf died, that my Facebook goes nuts, but it's because us roadies know the cool guys to work for.
Right.
Meatloaf was a great guy, and Taylor was friends with everybody. He was such a good guy. Anyway, that wasn't the point of what you said. The point is that Foo Fighters would make a good connection, and they also will be doing shows soon for sure. I think there's rumors of who their drummer is. They've kind of figured out a guy. I think I don't know that, but I've been reading it come through, which means they'll be doing a big tour, and opening act for Foo Fighters would be a massive opportunity.
Cool.
Massive.
All right, I'm going to wind this down. So I'm going to give you a public invitation. First week of May, they're releasing the Tokyo Garden Theater Blu-ray, and mixed in that pack is a 2022 U.S. tour documentary. So I'm going to do you're not too far from me. We're going to do a watch party at the house. You're going to come by and have a burger and a beer and some Bandmade. You're welcome to it. I'll send you the details in an email if that sounds something interesting. You meet some of the other local fans.
Most people don't allow me in their living rooms, so this is a big opportunity.
No one said it was going to be inside the house.
Oh, okay, fair enough. That might work then.
All right. Hey, Joel, this has been fantastic. I love talking to you, man. I could talk to you all day and listen to more stories. So in fact, I hope you do come over in May because it'd be cool to talk to you. I love music. I grew up with this stuff. So thanks for spending some time with me today. And you got anything you want to say on the way out the door?
No, I just appreciate you reaching out to me. And I think Bandmade is great. And so I hope exposure from people like you gives them the opportunity to keep spreading their wings, man. It's good stuff.
All right. So to close this out, Joel Miller, Party Like a Rockstar podcast, Memoir of a Roadie on Amazon. You can get it on audio. I'm working on the audio version right now. Go check it out. Good stuff. Watch some of his videos. Like I said, he's got 30 reactions to Bandmade, some of them with big time guys, Dave Sabo, Dizzy from Guns N' Roses, and a bunch of ones that he's watched on his own. Go check him out. Really cool content right there. And with that, I will say thank you so much for watching. This is SJ Nix from Made News This is SJ Nix from Made News Network, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching.